it's Stephanie here, and I'm here to share a card with you that I've created with Simon Says Stamped dies and stamps, as well as the ZIG Wink of Luna markers. These are very similar to the Wink of Stella markers, which are the glitter markers, and that come in the clear, which is the most common. But the difference with these are they're actually metallic. They don't have a glitter effect like the Wink of Stella markers. They have a really great metallic look to them. So I just wanted to show how these look on black cardstock. So to do that, I just went ahead and took the butterfly drift die from Simon Says Stamp and went ahead and cut out all of the pieces of it out of black Simon Says Stamp cardstock. And I'm going to take each individual butterfly piece that I punched out from the outline area and color them with the markers. So I just am laying the die there beside me so I can kind of see which butterflies go where, so I can figure out the coloring of each of them, just so that I have a nice assortment of color and don't have two of the same colors right side by side. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and use the green one. And you can see as I'm coloring here the awesome way that they completely cover the paper. You can't even see any of that black showing through. And I like to give a good coat. I usually go through once just to completely cover it, and then I like to kind of go over a second time and do it again. And when you color with these, you'll find that you kind of get a pattern from the direction that you're coloring. So I like to mimic that on each butterfly wing so they kind of look similar. And then I just went ahead and did the smaller ones too. Now you'll notice when you are coloring these, if you use your finger to kind of hold on to the tip of the butterfly area, the color will lift a bit off of that area since it's still pretty wet. So I just like to go ahead and put the base layer on and then just add a little bit of extra color on the tip of the wing where I use my finger to hold it still. Just gives it a more consistent colored look. But you can see now I've also used the blue and purple, and just the vibrancy of these markers is just so great on the black cardstock. So now that I went ahead and colored them all, I'm going to go ahead and start assembling my card. I've set the butterflies aside to dry a bit. You do want to let them have a little bit of dry time, just because this is a wet marker and you just want to let it sit for a little bit so it completely absorbs into the paper. And now I'm going to go ahead and actually put the card base together. So I'm using the outline piece that was die cut when I die cut the inside pieces, and I'm adhering this directly to a white note card. I'm kind of letting the top and the bottom area hang off, and I'm just going to cut those off after when I'm finished with the card. And you won't see it right now, but I end up making this a panel going onto a black card instead of keeping this a white note card base. I just felt like it needed a little bit of pop behind it. I didn't like it directly onto the white, and when I heat embossed it, it warped the paper a little bit, and I didn't like how much warp was in the card base, so I knew that if I cut it out and adhered it onto a black card base, it would smooth out and look a lot better. So that's what I'll end up doing eventually. So right now I'm just going ahead and adding all the butterfly pieces to the inside, and to do this I just used a glue pen and put it around all the edges of the outline piece, and then I'm just going ahead and adding glue into each middle area one at a time, and then adhering the butterfly pieces inside. And they should fit in perfectly. Sometimes when you adhere the outside piece on without the middle area is already in there, it does warp the little outside area a tiny bit, and sometimes you kind of have to move it around and push the pieces together to make sure that it all fits together. But it definitely will. You just have to play around with it if you notice that any aren't fitting properly inside. So I'm just going ahead and continuing to add them in here, and you can see I kind of layered the different colors. Green was my main color. I did the biggest butterfly and the two top and bottom ones in that color, and then I also used blue and the purple. There are other colors of these markers that also have really great color to them. There's a red that I have, and the silver, which is a really great silver color. And there's also a black, which is more like a silver to me than a black. When you color with it, it actually takes on like a dark granite silver color. So, and there's also a gold. I'm not really partial to the gold. I feel like it kind of gives a weird color to it and not a true gold color. But aside from that gold one, I really love these markers and can definitely see myself using them continuously on cards. So now I'm going to work on the sentiment here, and I've just picked a sentiment that's from the Wide Stripe Greetings stamp set, and it comes in a full row, but I didn't want it like that. I want to stack it against where the butterflies were. So I kind of right aligned the stamps after I cut them apart. And don't worry, you can definitely put them back together how they were intended to be stamped. But this just allows you to have a little bit more variety on how you can use it. Just it allows you to stack it or keep it straight. And I like how it filled that space beside the butterflies and just stacked on top of one another. So I stamped that with VersaFine ink. That's usually my go-to ink for sentiments, and I like that it stays wet a little bit longer because it's a pigment ink. So I was able to add some Judikins iridescent embossing powder on top, and I just went ahead and embossed that to give that sentiment a little sparkle to it. So now you can see I went ahead and trimmed this piece down like I mentioned I would do. I think it's 4 by 5.5 or 5.25 inches, and I'm just adhering some adhesive to the back of that so I can put it onto the card base. And I put quite a bit of adhesive just so that it helps to lay flat and kind of stop the warping that occurred from me heat embossing it. So now to finish off the card, I just want to go ahead and add some sequins onto it. I'm using the orchid sequins from Simon Says Stamp. They're a really nice purple color, and I thought it would look really good to have them with the purple butterflies. I find that if you pair the colored sequins with a similar color on your card, it pulls the color of the sequins out even more than you would notice of them on their own. So it really gives them that purple look. So I love using the same colored sequins as I'm using on the card elsewhere. So I just went ahead and figured out where I wanted those, and I'm just adhering them on. And I put gems in the center of the sequins as well as around the sequins just to finish that card off. So that completes the card today. Thank you so much for watching.